There was a time when every game you wanted to play was held within the confines of a cartridge or disc, and you could fight dragons without having to download additional content. Things have changed, and the modern age of gaming has given us some games that live entirely online. Though that's made getting games into the hands of players easier, it also means that when those servers go offline, so does all your progress. Such was the case for these games, which will probably never be played again. The Matrix Online. Following the release of Matrix Revolutions, Sony and Monolith Productions teamed up for The Matrix Online, a canonical continuation of the Matrix story set in an MMORPG. Though it only lasted 4 years, from 2005 to 2009, The Matrix Online allowed subscribers to live out their neo-fantasies as red pillars awoken from the Matrix's control. Once freed, players could explore Mega City to find like-minded revolutionaries to take on the computer system holding humanity in check. After the servers were closed in 2009 due to drastically low subscriber numbers, Sony crafted a memory book fans could visit to reflect on their time in the Matrix. That too has since been pulled down. That's a pretty big bummer, but...
Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
Plants vs. Zombies Adventures. Released exclusively on Facebook in May 2013, Plants vs. Zombies Adventures was technically the first sequel to the classic tower defense game from PopCap and EA, preceding Plants vs. Zombies 2. So for a few months, Plants vs. Zombies Adventures was the best way to enjoy fending off zombie hordes for franchise fans on Facebook. Adventures followed the original game's concept, but instead of defending a single homestead, Adventures maps were much more elaborate and took place all over the town where players lived. Plants vs. Zombies Adventures lasted a little over a year, however, with EA shuttering the service in October 2014. At least when the game was on its way out, PopCap gave each player 100,000 gems, the premium currency, so they could go wild in the game's waning moments. Guess you'll just have to go back to Candy Crush now. City of Heroes. In 2004, City of Heroes gave many wannabe superheroes a chance to don tights and capes to fend off evil in the fictional Paragon City. In addition to creating and customizing a hero of their own, players could join up with other players to create their own unique supergroups. After releasing a sequel in 2005 dubbed City of Villains, which let players live out their supervillain fantasies, the two games were merged in 2008, allowing players to wage a massive battle for Paragon's destiny. Updates were added regularly and introduced new elements like mystical characters, mission creation tools, and time manipulation. City of Heroes was so successful in the 2000s, it even spawned a comic series and a collectible card game. Sadly, that popularity wouldn't last into the next decade. A free-to-play model was added in the summer of 2011, but even that couldn't help City of Heroes live for longer than one more year. Despite an outpouring of support and protests from existing players, City of Heroes Adventure ended in 2012. Marvel Heroes. What if we told you one of the creators of Diablo was tapped to develop an online action role-playing game set in the Marvel Universe? Welcome to 2013's Marvel Heroes, an isometric action RPG in the vein of Blizzard's iconic fantasy game Diablo, which allowed players to go on adventures as more than 60 different legendary Marvel characters. Despite finally getting a console port in the summer of 2017, Marvel Heroes' time on the virtual plane was short. Not long after launching on the Xbox One and PlayStation 4, Disney and Marvel announced Marvel Heroes would be closing forever, giving players only a brief glimpse into saving the world as their favorite superpeople.
Nothing lasts forever.
Infinite Crisis. In 2014, Warner Bros. Tried to get in on the multiplayer online battle arena craze with Infinite Crisis. Rather than having players create super characters of their own like in DC Comics' DCU Online, Infinite Crisis cobbled its roster together from the infinite Earths of the DC multiverse. That meant you could play as, say, Pirate Batman or Mecha Wonder Woman, with each version serving a different role within the game. Free-to-play, Infinite Crisis launched in early 2015, but wasn't able to keep players interested. It was forced to shut down just a few months after exiting beta.
I have to go now.
Star Wars Galaxies. Perhaps no game has more of a controversial relationship with its fan base than Star Wars Galaxies, which included the awesome ability to play as nearly a dozen different species across a dozen different planets. Launched in 2003 to fairly positive reviews, it took only 2 years for Sony Online and Lucasfilm to completely revamp the way Galaxies worked. spurning most of the remaining devoted fans in the process. In spite of that dramatic overhaul just a few years into existence, Galaxies remained a home to numerous hopeful Jedi until it closed in 2011. The closing of Star Wars Galaxies was well covered in the gaming press, with Giant Bomb hosting a lengthy livestream of the game's closing hours. Players gathered around for celebration, goodbyes, and one final battle between the Rebellion and the Empire as the lights went out. Firefall. Red 5's Firefall was inescapable at gaming conventions in the years leading up to its beta in 2012. The MMO shooter hybrid was big on promotion, but when it launched in full in 2014, it didn't quite meet the player demand the development team anticipated. The years following Firefall's beta and retail release were rife with trouble for the developer, with its CEO being ousted and payroll not being distributed to employees. In 2016, Red 5 let go of all remaining employees, though Firefall's servers stayed online for another year. Firefall may not have had a great run as a game, but it did deliver some of the best cosplay as part of the promotion for the MMO. At least we'll always have that. Thanks for watching. Click the SVG icon to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Plus, check out all this cool stuff we know you'll love too.